Hello, everyone. We are just reconvening from closed session. And just to reiterate what was discussed during closed session, I have 3.1 public employee discipline dismissal and release, conference with labor 3.2 conference with labor negotiator employee organizations, NTA and CSEA. 3.3 conference with legal counsel regarding expedited litigation. 3.4 conference with labor negotiator, NUMA, unrepresented supervisors and contracted management. 3.5 public employment of the Newark Memorial High School principal, and conference with labor 3.6 conference with labor negotiator, unrepresented employee, the superintendent. And at this point there is no reportable action. I would like to note that member Martinez did join us at closed session. However, she will not be able to join us here in closed session. Thank you. With that, I would like to remind everybody that we are having this meeting online and here during, with Zoom, and it will then be posted virtually so everybody can see on YouTube as well. And we are being recorded. And ahead of time, I would like to apologize if I do make any mistakes. So please bear with me. As of now, I'd like everybody to please stand. And Mr. Castillo, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Member Castillo. And I already reported on, I got ahead of myself, reported on the closed session. There were no reportable items. At this point, I will move to public comment on non-agenda items. Ms. Aquino, do we have any? I believe that was a no.
My apologies. Yes, we have none at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. So with that, we will move to superintendent report. Ms. Salinas.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, and as I share my screen, let's see. Oh, Ms. Aquino or Mr. Mellons, could you please enable screen sharing? And as the screen sharing is coming up, I do, that I'm able to share, I do want to note that, you know, as a nation, we're going through a very difficult time right now, and it's acknowledging that we all live each day and should live each day with an equity lens, but we also want to acknowledge that many of our community members are not only dealing with this pandemic, but on top of it all, certainly what we've seen across the nation with folks exercising their freedom of speech, but at the same time ensuring that our communities are safe. So I do want to acknowledge everyone that we're really working through this difficult time. So let me try to enable my screen now. There we go. Apologies. Just a second, I apologize. Thank you. And so this evening, I want to acknowledge that we are now today was the official last day of work for our teachers. And so congratulations. Thank you so much for your support. We've made it so far. Our 10-month classified employees as well. And certainly now as we move towards the end of June, our administrators are still with us, and also our 12-month employees trying to close up the end of the school year. This evening, I want to recognize all of the promotions. As you know, all of our 6th graders promoting to 7th, our 8th promoting to 9th, and certainly our kindergartners and our TKers promoting to the next grade. I gotta tell you, Newark did it right. Our staff, our principals, our PTAs, our ELACs, everyone came together to really celebrate our kids. And so a big thank you to all of you. This did not come easy. As you can see, we did drive-throughs. Our folks did online virtual celebrations. Here's Mr. Montoya. That one was was my first to attend, and I loved it. They did a great job at Music Elementary with Miss White and Mr. Montoya, and certainly Principal Gallagher. And so for those of you that did not have a sixth grader promoting, or an eighth grader or a kinder didn't get a chance, this is what the new normal looked like this last week. And so who would have thought during this unprecedented time, this is what promotion ceremonies look like? But again, folks came together. You could see our families with their graduate or their student who was promoting. They decorated behind the sofa as folks were all sitting there and celebrating kids and families, and certainly our staff. So a huge thank you to all of our principals, teachers, parent groups, and parents and students that really made this time special for our students. As a reminder, the big event, the big reveal, the big premiere is coming soon. And so for Newark Memorial High School will be June 27th at 9 a.m. Bridgepoint Crossroads, June 20th. And certainly, as I shared the last time, our community mentor, Mr. Taimani, and his team working together with, we had two board members, Ms. Gutierrez and Ms. Nguyen, working with our principals and students to really put together something wonderful. And so the premiere is coming soon, and our school principals will be sending invitations and more about that for our graduating seniors. Next, I want to share around child nutrition. As you know, we have continued to serve meals throughout this pandemic, and I want to let you know, we will continue to serve during the summer as well. This is just a snapshot. During the month of May alone, we served 62,524 meals. Seems like a lot, and it is a lot, but I do want to share that pre-pandemic, during the month of February, we essentially would serve a little bit more. And so I know that Miss Mary Sayers and her team have done a wonderful job, but as she starts to prepare and reconcile what this looks like for the months moving forward, we do know that we had a little bit of a gap with the number of meals, that we would have been able to serve. But with that said, we're going to continue to provide 5 days worth of meals at the same locations: Schilling Elementary, Newark Junior High School, and the Central Kitchen near Birch Grove Intermediate. And that will be going on through August 10th, just in time for us to come back to school. And so there will not be any kind of stop in the meals that are provided. I did ask Ms. Sayers will the meals change in any way. She will continue to have the cold sandwiches, but is going to continue to add more fruits and vegetables, because we know that was really something that families wanted. And so she's going to continue to add some more of a variety around fruits and vegetables. So thank you, Ms. Sayers and team. In terms of extended school year, so although the regular school year is over, we are now in high preparation for 2 programs that we are offering. So later on tonight, our Board of Education will ratify the appointments. But for summer school for our high school students, in terms of credit recovery, and for our high school students, Mr. Neal will be the principal for summer school for them, and certainly bringing forward his experience with secondary schools, but again, targeting our students during this continued online program for students. So we want to be able to close that gap for our kids that need to recover credits. The other program that we will be offering, as this is a mandate for all school districts, is our extended school year for our students who participate in special education. So our ESY program this year, after board ratification, Ms. Gallagher and Dr. Castañeda Leal are actually going to split the time. And so they will be doing that program. So if any families are watching, here's their email, but they are sending out information and contacting families directly. If you recall, at our last board meeting, Member Nguyen suggested a wonderful suggestion, is that this PowerPoint will also be on our front page so that families can come back and refer to it. And so we'll have this information readily available on our website as well. In terms of online registration, we have sent many voicemails and emails and call outs to families to please register. In order for us to prepare for the 2020-21 school year, we need to have our students registered and really see who is out there. So we're making progress. We have closed the gap, but still some work to do. So here are some numbers. The last time we came forward, we gave you the number on around May 7th as to how many students had already completed their online registration, or I should say the families had, and where we are as of June 1st. So as you see that number on the far right, my far right, the 289, the 189, the 498 at the high school, we've got some work to do there, and certainly alternative ed. These are the numbers that we are going to continue to target and phone call and support our families. Online registration is the way we're registering students, now the second year in a row for all students. But we know that some families may need a little bit more support. At the next board meeting, we will be able to bring you the most exact numbers we have. Right now, we are looking at open enrollments and also any out of district requests, but also looking at students who may be moving. And so at this point, we have this data that at this time last year, we had 125 students that had moved. Right now, we only have 70 confirmed students from the elementary schools that have informed us that they will be moving. So we will get those numbers to the board and also for the public in the coming weeks. Again, for all families, if you'd like some more information, you can certainly reach out to your schools. Although teachers and some staff are gone, our principals are still here. We still have our office managers for a bit longer, but certainly Ms. Leon, our coordinator of pupil services, she can be reached by email, and here is her information. But I want to share a new idea that came forward, and this really came from parents and also from staff. And that was that we know that a lot of times our families need the phone call or someone to really walk them through the steps, especially if they're a new family to our district. So starting tomorrow through June 30th, we are going to offer a registration hotline from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. This will be on our website. We will also share it with our family letters that go out every Monday and publicizes on social media. So again, here is the hotline. The person who will be staffing this, we will have a bilingual person. So if parents, the flyers will be going out in Spanish and in English. And at this time, those are the two languages we have. But this person will be able to manage this hotline and really support families in Spanish or English with how to register their student. As I referred to, our website is really the place where we want all families to see the latest news. We will continue to update that. I do want to share that although school is out, we are going to continue with the Monday emails that I'm sending out to families, and that will have information as it becomes available, especially as we prepare for the 2021 school year. And then finally, if parents need to get a hold of someone and they are not hearing back because as folks are starting to close out for the summer, you can also email our general information number that we have staffed, and we will be routing that to who needs to answer that question that may come up from our families. In terms of the 2021 school year, again, we are continuing to do planning as the norm for schools across the United States is still distance learning. We want to share that we're looking at our work groups that are looking at classroom configurations and that are looking at safety and certainly board policies. In fact, for the board to know, I understand that tomorrow the California School Boards Association will be releasing some suggested board policies to adjust for COVID-19 conditions. So we will be bringing those forward to the board, but that was the latest news we heard this week, and we look forward to the CSBA recommendations tomorrow. And finally, meals. As I shared at the last board meeting, the Governor Newsom has said that while we have suspended approving the LCAP for June, and it has been moved to December, what has not changed is that we do have to continue to provide meals for our students in one of the areas that is crucial. And so as I shared earlier, Ms. Sayers and her staff are going to do that throughout the summer. Again, assumptions. We have to assume that until there is a vaccine that's widely available, we have to continue with having plan A, plan B, plan C, because what we do know for sure is that school in the fall will not be the same as any other fall. So we have to be ready for that. And we also know that even if there is a vaccine, and we also know that even if we make a decision to go to hybrid, we will still have students and staff that have significant health conditions that will make them more vulnerable. So here's some planning that I want to share with all of you. As I shared last time, we have work groups that are made up of our classified employees, our administrators, and our teachers. They have been drafting some ideas and safety conditions, and certainly using science and direction from the county superintendent, from myself, and also from our health officer, Dr. Erica Pan. And what we're using is that information to draft up plans for the incoming school year. Thank you to all of the families that went ahead and took part in the surveys that we sent out. We are going to be able to show all of that information at the coming board meeting and compile that all with the work that's happened so far. And so what we're anticipating at the June 18th meeting, we will bring for information only and to have an open discussion with the board as to what scenarios look like, what were the results of our family parent surveys and our staff surveys. And then also we're going to hope to know a little bit more as we start to enter phase 3 as Alameda County. So I am anticipating the possibility of a special board meeting in July, and I'll talk with the board at the end of the evening during superintendent's last comments to see if we can start to think about a date. Because what will be important is that we will have guidance from the county as we enter phase 3. And I think also most importantly is that we will have a new superintendent in place by July 1st. And that way this person can make really the decisions and be part of this process. So we are looking forward to that next phase for Newark Unified. So I know some families have asked, what do you mean by a hybrid? And in Spanish is híbrido, modelo híbrido. What we mean is that it's a combination. It's a blended learning model where there is a possibility of students perhaps coming to school a couple of days a week in person with a very, very small group, and then other days of the week working at home online. There is also a model where it's a phase-in. Some districts are looking at the possibility of a phase-in where perhaps we come in small groups certain days of the week, but then we have to be cognizant that in October and November, as flu season starts to hit, we may become 100% distance learning. As you can see, it's a very complicated process because we want to make sure we have safety at the forefront. But what's happening with our work groups is that they're looking and planning for all scenarios. And we also want to be in collaboration with other school districts. It's important that as we start to do our planning, while it's very individualized for Newark Unified, we also know that a lot of our employees live in other cities. So although we may have a plan that works really well, if we have the majority of our teachers that live, let's say in Fremont and in Union City, and there's a different plan there, it will be very difficult for our staff as they work through childcare aspects and all of that. So we have to be very mindful of that. So we're working with Superintendent Karen Monroe, with Dr. Erica Pan, and with all county superintendents to really do this planning. So at that point, I just want to thank you all for your commitment to Newark, and know that we hope to bring some very different models to share with the community and share with our board at our next board meeting. And then as we continue to work on this work, we just have to be ready for any scenario. So again, thank you. And that concludes my presentation for this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Salinas. And I believe our next topic goes to you as well. Is that correct? Do we have any staff report?
Yes, we do. So thank you very much. I'm going to ask our CBO, Ms. Dela Cruz, to go ahead and share the May revised update. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Salinas. So what I have for you this evening is a more detailed update on the May revise. I'm going to try to share my screen here. Let's see. I touched on it a little bit at the last meeting, share. Okay. So this is an update on the May revise that was announced by the governor on May 14th. And it basically updates his January budget proposal for next school year 2021. And I attended a school services workshop on May 19th and got a little bit more detail on the content of his May revise. And some of the slides here are courtesy of school services. And the assumptions that we will be using to build our district's 2021 budget are from the May revise. So since second interim and the January proposal, there's been a significant decrease in our state revenues. And so that also is going to reduce the Prop 98 funding, which is the basis of our K-12 funding for the state. And some of the major changes are a 10% reduction to our local control funding formula, which is about 95% of our budget. There's a 12.1% reduction in adult education, zero COLA on categorical programs such as special ed and child nutrition. There was a withdrawal of $1.84 billion of the January K-12 education proposals, which included, if you remember, last year, the governor gave us some preschool intervention special ed money that he was going to continue for next year, but those types of proposals are no longer in the budget. There's a federal stimulus of $4.4 billion to mitigate learning loss. The special ed target was adjusted to 645 per ADA, which is about a 15% increase. And part of the solution for these cuts is deferral of the apportionments that we get from the state. So there's going to be a deferral in June that we will receive in July. And then next year, we will have 3 months of deferred payments from April, May, and June 2021 that will be paid in July of 22. He's redirecting the STRS and PERS payments, and that will lower our rates for next year and the following year, and also providing some flexibility to help with the reductions. So in terms of deferrals, this is what it looks like. We normally get an allocation in June, which is equal to about 9% of our funding. And for us, it's about $4.5 million. So that will be delayed until July. And then next year, the April, May, and June payments we'll receive in July. So total, you figure almost $15 million. So we'll be able to borrow between funds to help us get through these deferrals. At least for our district, we'll be okay. In other districts, they'll have to do some short-term borrowing. And when we talk about the cuts to the local control funding formula, the LCFF, what the governor is proposing is to suspend the COLA, which was 2.31% for next year, and would include an additional reduction for a total cut of 10%. So if you can see that column that's highlighted, it's anywhere from $788 per ADA to $954 per ADA less that we will not receive next year. In addition, part of the LCFF is what they call the add-on reductions, and these are fixed amounts that we receive as part of our LCFF funding, and there's a 10% cut for that as well. And for Newark, it's about $81,000 reduction. So to help provide some relief, the governor is proposing to decrease the CalPERS rates the rate that us, Newark, as an employer, that we contribute towards the retirement rates for our employees. So as you can see, the previous rate was 22.68%. That will go down to 20.7 next year. And then the following year, it was 24.6, and it will go down to 22.8. So an average of about 2% per year that we'll be saving in the next 2 years. And then in the out years, pretty much stays the same. So on the other side is the CalSTRS. This is the retirement program for our certificated employees. The rates will also be reduced from 18.4 this year to 16.15 next year, and 16.02 the following year. So again, this is about a 2% decrease on our CalSTRS contribution rates. So part of the funding from the pandemic, additional funding that we will be receiving is the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Fund, which is also known as the ESSER funds. These are the funds that will be allocated to our district based on our Title I allocation. We will have to apply for this, and we're waiting for CDE to send out the application. And as of now, our preliminary allocation for these funds is about $469,000. So with the federal funding, there's the CARES Act. The governor is proposing to add another $4.4 billion towards mitigating learning loss. So $2.855 billion of that is going to districts that qualify for concentration grant, which means those are the districts that have the unduplicated pupil percentage, which represents the English learners, foster youth, and free and reduced lunch students that are above 55% threshold. And the estimate is about $735 per ADA. Unfortunately, like I mentioned, I think at the last meeting, our district is at 54.98. So according to the governor's proposal, we would not qualify for this funding. But on the other side, there's also $1,900 per student for students with disabilities. So when we talk about special ed, they're increasing the ADA rate about 15%. And for our school district, it will be about $566,000 more. And this will really help reduce our contribution to special ed from our general fund. And giving the district some flexibility to allow us to deal with some of the reductions will be exemptions from deferrals for hardship reasons, and increasing the interfund borrowing limits, which is at 75%. The proposal is to increase it to 85%. And then using proceeds from property sales for one-time general fund purposes. And that's something that we would look into to see if the sale of Russian funds would qualify under that. And then the ability to reduce the state on behalf payments in our routine restricted maintenance account calculation. The LCAP, the deadline for LCAP was extended to December 15th. And that's the only thing right now that we have on the LCAP. So we'll hear a little bit more about that. So as far as how all of these changes will impact Newark, in terms of revenues, we're talking about a 10% cut to our LCFF. We currently receive about $54.4 million. And next year, the estimated calculation for LCFF is at 49.4, so it's a $5 million reduction. And the CARES Act, that would be an increase of about 470,000. The learning loss mitigation, unfortunately, based on the governor's proposal, we would receive 0. Otherwise, that would have been $4 million. With the students with disabilities, that $1,900 per student, it's about 1.4 million. And then the special ed increase is going from 2.8 to 3.3, which is about 570,000. So as you can see, even with the increases in the federal funding, we're still short $2.6 million because of mainly because of the 10% cut to our LCFF. And with the expenditures, we would adjust the STRS rate from 18.4 to 16.15. So it's a reduction of 681,000 in our expenditures. And for classified salaries, it would reduce our expenditures in classified salaries of 172,000. And then we do have a tentative agreement with the CSEA. We add the impact of the increase. So it's a net change of 744,000 less in expenditures compared to what we reported out at third interim. So here's a big picture when we're looking at our multi-year projection based on the governor's May revise. As you can see, it's pretty significant and pretty drastic when you're looking at the out years. For next year, our total revenues will be 62.9 million, expenditures at 64.8. So we have a deficit of 1.9 million, almost $2 million. But in the out years, because the new 2021 revenues, most of it is one time. The only one that's ongoing is the special ed funding of almost 600,000. So the ongoing reduction for our district will result in a $5 million deficit next year, and then $7.5 million the following year. So the total deficit in the next 3 years is going to be about $14.5 million. In terms of just looking at another scenario at third interim, based on 0% COLA for the next 3 years, it would obviously look a little bit better, where we would actually have a surplus in 2021 of 2.3 million, and then our 21-22 we'd start having our deficit at 900,000, and then in 22-23 at 3.2 million. Sorry, that should say total deficit. Net would be 1.8 million. So some good news. After the governor presents his May revise, then the Senate committee and the Assembly committee both will meet and present their own budget. And both the state and assembly, as of yesterday afternoon, have agreed to a budget, and they reject the governor's May revise. In their proposal, it would fully fund LCFF, including the COLA for next year, just 2.31%, and no cuts at all. It would hold harmless the ADA at our 1920 level. So that would be good news for us as well. And they're proposing a school reopening support block grant, which would repurpose the governor's proposed 100 million ESSER funds to distribute to LEAs on a per ADA basis for those that reopen physical school sites in the 2021 school year. And the funds, they can be used to offset costs related to reopening, including cleaning supplies, equipment, staff training, and family outreach. Another positive on the Senate and Assembly bill proposal it would allocate that 2.9 billion for learning loss mitigation based on a proportionate share of LCFF instead of UPP. And we've already received estimates on what that would look like for Newark, and that would be about $2.7 million. It supports the 1.5 billion to mitigate learning loss for students with disabilities, and it would fund adult ed to the 1920 levels, so no cuts for adult ed. And if federal funds do not come through, they're proposing to use deferrals to preserve the K-12 funding, which in our case would be much better than a cut. So it'd be just a delay in payment. So when we talk about next steps, the district's budget will be presented to the board on June 18th based on the governor's May revise. So the assumptions that I will be using, because the budget has not passed yet, will be based on the governor's proposal, which includes the 10% cut. The legislature, they must have pass a budget by June 15th, and then the governor would have 12 days after that to sign it or veto it or send it back. And then the district will have 45 days after the governor signs the budget to make public any changes that we make to the district's adopted budget, because this would be after our June 18th meeting. And there's also a strong possibility that the state will revise the budget in August after some of the personal income tax revenues come in, because as you remember, the income tax filing was postponed to July 15th. And we need to consider possibly having a board study session to address the possible deficits in future years. And right now, all we can do is just hope that things look better and the budget looks more like what the legislature is proposing rather than what the governor is proposing. So at this time, I would like to open it up for any comments, questions, discussion, any thoughts?
Can we go back to your multi-year projection, the first scenario?
Okay. Oops, sorry. I'm still trying to. Okay.
Can you share the screen?
Oh, what happened? I didn't unshare it.
Yeah, the scenario 2 is no COLA. What about the scenario 1? I sort of missed the scenario the scenario 1 for the.
Okay.
Okay, I see. So when we talk about the scenario 2, when we say zero COLA, that we didn't include the 10% cut on LCFF, right?
Right.
Okay, that's right. And
yeah, so I was trying to find something in the middle because
okay,
the governor and the legislator, they'll probably negotiate and meet somewhere in the middle.
and the governor's budget for learning mitigation laws is based on the UPP, right?
Right now, yes, that's his proposal.
The UPP is at 55% threshold, right?
Yes.
And the legislature is saying proportional to LCFF, right?
Yes, they're proposing that we receive it based on our proportionate share of our LCFF.
Okay,
yes.
I see. So
instead of using the UPP.
So that's actually that might be the biggest factor that can impact our budget in a positive way if we ended up going the proportional way.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what we're really hoping for, because it's really more of a fair share distribution.
So another thing I remember you mentioned about there are some exemption that the governor gave to district for the economic hardship. One of them is increasing the limit of the interfund borrowing, and you mentioned Russian fund. What is that?
Yeah, so we're allowed to borrow between our funds to hold us over whenever we get a delay in our payment. So, for example, if we're supposed to receive $3 million this month, but we're not going to receive it next month, we're going to need to borrow from one of our funds, like our Fund 40, which has like $10 million in it. And we can borrow up to $75,000 from our own funds to hold us over. Because without it, we will not be able to pay payroll and our accounts payables. And we would have to do some short-term borrowing. So we're fortunate in that we do have funds available for us to borrow in between to help tide us over.
Yeah, I mean, given what the two chambers of the legislatures are proposing, it does feel like there will be impacted a lot less than the governors may realize.
For sure. Yes.
Okay.
Their proposal is much more favorable than the governor's proposal.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of the flexibility on that interfund, I forgot to mention, the current limit right now is 75%. And the flexibility would bring it to 85%.
And also, like, there's another exemption is allowing the sales of the real estate to put into the general fund, one-time transfer, right?
Yes, so that one I would have to look at to see if the sale of the Russian property would qualify under that flexibility.
Okay, okay. Okay, that's it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from anyone else?
So if you're interested in a study session, we could, or you could let us know and we can schedule one.
I had a couple
If
questions.
one is needed, Ms. Salinas, could it be done at the same time, the special meeting that you're thinking for July?
Yes, that's what I was thinking. So we could, let's think about it and go through the rest of your questions, and I could definitely bring it up at the end of the evening, and we could maybe do some planning around that. That would be great.
Okay.
I had a
Member
question.
Rodriguez, did you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. The different percentages that we're under, whether it's the 55% for the reduced lunch, any talk on changing those percentages from the state level?
In terms of, you mean permanently changing that threshold?
Or temporarily?
Just for the federal funds?
Right.
Yeah, just for the federal funds, there's right now the Senate and the Assembly is proposing to distribute that based on our proportionate share of LCFF and not on the concentration.
How about talk on changing the percentage to pass a parcel tax from where it is now, or a bond? That's still the same, right?
Yeah, there hasn't been any change to that.
Okay. And then the last thing is having a positive or a qualified budget. A lot of districts that would have been positive now with the reductions might go under the qualified. So is there anything being talked about as far as during this time to kind of have some forgiveness there, or is everybody preset on the way it is now?
Yeah, I'm not sure what kind of flexibility they'll have on certifications with the budget. We don't certify positive, negative, or qualified. It's just the county will review it and will either be approved or conditionally approved or not approved.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and a July study session also would make sense because by then the governor would have signed the budget, and it probably will be within the time that we could make 45-day budget revisions.
Member Wynn?
Ms. De La Cruz, do we know when we will be hearing back on final decisions of which scenarios will we likely see?
Yeah, so by June 15th, the legislature, they have to pass a budget. And then 12 days after that, the governor will sign it. So hopefully by the end of June, early July, we should know.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And no questions on my end right now, Ms. De La Cruz. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
No one else? Okay. Then with that, thank you, Ms. De La Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
Very informative. And now we move on to new business. And Ms. Salinas, please, if you can help me out with this.
Point of order, the next item is employee organizations.
Oh, thank you, Member Castillo, for that. Okay. 9.9 employee organizations. Ms. Aquino, we do have somebody, is that correct?
Correct. Yes, thank you. I couldn't get unmuted, so thank you, Cesar. Yes, we do have an organizational update from our NUMA organization. Good evening, Board President Martinez, board members, and executive cabinet. This update is being provided by NUMA President Catherine Ingram Waters and Vice President Amanda Golaher. I would like to speak about the outstanding team of leaders that we have here at Newark Unified. In addition, we are respectfully asking for equitable compensation and believe parity with NTA is fair and reasonable. Our department chairs, occupational therapists, and behaviorists work closely with our students in the classroom and support teachers and staff at the sites and meet the students' needs. Our classified management parent partners assist our families and students to connect to the resources that support our student and family emotionally and physical health. Our directors and supervisors in maintenance, food service, and graphic arts provide excellent leadership to their staff to ensure that our students have safe, clean environments in which to learn clean environments in which to learn, healthy, nutritious food to eat, and quality printed materials for their classrooms. Our leaders in educational services provide support and training to sites throughout outstanding professional development. Our business leadership provides guidance on budgeting and ensures district solvency. Our executive assistant, administrative assistants, secondary office managers, and HR technicians provide competent professional support to every aspect of work being done in the district. Our site administrators, managers, supervisors, and confidential employees are second to none. All work tirelessly to ensure that the very best is given to the students of Newark Unified. All NUMA members have worked remotely and in person throughout the last 2.5 months of quarantine and distance learning. During a typical year, our members attend many community events such as Avanzando, Newark Soccer Cup tournaments, Newark Days Parade, African American Achievement Awards, and much more. We attend after-school sporting events, back-to-school nights, and a variety of activities for students and families. Many of these events are just things we show up for. We actually plan, coordinate, and write nominations for many of these events. Despite a huge lack of resource in navigating through the current pandemic, we continue to promote Newark schools. We continue to do all of the above virtually while taking on more community support roles. We distributed Chromebooks, did home deliveries, prepped and distributed lunches, led our teachers in distance learning, which included not only instructional leadership, but social emotional support as well. Through all of this, we have remained committed. We have remained committed when other opportunities present themselves because we are committed to the students of Newark. Unfortunately, this is becoming more challenging as neighboring districts provide competitive compensation and incentives. In addition, all of NUMA has accepted a one-day furlough for the 2021 school year, which will result in overall decreased monthly compensation. We are an unrepresented group, not any more important, but certainly not any less important. It takes 3 units working together to make the district run and be successful. We are respectfully asking for equitable compensation and believe parity with MTA is fair and reasonable. On behalf of our colleagues, we thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Aquino. Anyone else? No. Okay. Thank you for that. And thank you, members of NUMA, for sending in your report or comment. Now moving on to new business. And this, I did have a question, Ms. Salinas. Do I direct the item to you? Do I present it and then move? Okay, thank you. Okay, so now moving on to new business. We have the appointment of the principal for Newark Memorial. This is a personnel matter, so in this situation, no? Oh, yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it is a personnel matter.
I'm learning, I'm looking to my notes, yes.
Yeah, so it's a personnel matter, so in this case, Member Castillo, we will not be asking for a vote from you. Before we open discussion, can I get a motion?
I move.
Motion.
Can I ask for the motion again because it happens simultaneously? A motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Member Rodriguez. Second?
I'll second.
In a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Aquino, motion from Member Rodriguez, second from Member Nguyen, and Ms. Salinas, now directed to you.
Yes, good evening. Thank you. This evening, I'm going to ask Ms. Saavedra to speak to this item. This is the appointment of principal for Newark Memorial High School. Thank you, Ms. Saavedra.
Thank you. Good evening. Tonight, staff is bringing forward Ms. Olivia Rangel as the recommended candidate for Newark Memorial High School. Ms. Rangel has been serving as the interim principal in the 2019-2020 school year. She's been part of the NUSD team since 2011 and has served the district in multiple roles, such as the SPED teacher, lead teacher, program specialist, summer school EYS principal. And in 2016, she was honored by her peers and her administrator as the Teacher of the Year. It is with great pleasure that I bring forward her name, Ms. Rangel, as a recommendation for the Newark Memorial High School principal position.
Thank you, Ms. Saavedra. Any questions or comments from anybody?
I have one.
Thank you.
Could Superintendent Salinas or Ms. Saavedra, could you kind of take us through the process for a few minutes on how you came about to, recommend Ms. Rangel to be our next principal, please?
Yes, Ms. Salinas, if I may. We, as I explained at the last board meeting, we did have we advertised the position. We always start with advertising the position, and back in April 14th, and the position was open till May 5th. After May 5th, once the position was closed, we review the number of applications that we had, and then move forward to invite a few of the candidates for an interview process. The interview took place last May 22nd. In the interview, we invited several members of the community that included NTA representatives, CSEA representatives, student representatives, and NUMA representatives. Once we met with the first interview panelists, they were able to make a recommendation from the candidates that they interviewed on that day, and they recommended 2 names to move forward for a second interview, for a second and final interview with cabinet, where Superintendent Salinas and CBO Marie de la Cruz participated. And again, we had an opportunity to ask more questions and measure strengths and weaknesses from each of the candidates. And this is how we tonight bring forward the name of Ms. Rangel as our recommendation.
Okay. Could you, were there, how many in-house candidates applied for the position?
We had one in-house or
So everybody
internal
else was from
was an
outside.
external candidate. Yes, sir.
Any candidates had experience in being a principal other than Miss Rangel?
We have a few. We had a few, and again in reviewing the applications, we're always trying to find not just experience. Obviously, that's one of our number one things that we're looking for, but we're also looking into, you know, what else can they bring in? How many years of experience? What are some of the newer things that candidates have brought to the table that will contribute to the success of the high school?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to make a comment to the community and to the board members. During the years in the 2000s, it seemed like every year we had a different principal, and most of them were from out of the area, and very few of them were successful. So, so when Superintendent Sanchez decided to suspend the principal that was there last year in, I think it was November, looking for an interim principal, I don't remember him getting too many people that wanted to do it. So he was able to convince Ms. Rangel to do it. And running a high school is similar to being the mayor of a city. And so having her come in and gaining the support of the staff at the high school and dealing with the unrest with the music program and other different things. And from what I hear, and not only has she done a great job, but she's exceeded everything that we could have thought that she would, you know, as far as putting the high school back on solid ground. And then on top of that, you put in the pandemic and the virus, and through that, she has just led the high school. And I feel that we're very fortunate that she didn't give up and say, I don't want to do this anymore, and that she hung in there and put in for the position. I think it would be an excellent, I think it would be an excellent move for us to vote for Ms. Rangel. It would show the community that we want to have a continuance of what's been going on and not disrupt the kids at the high school any more than it's been disruptive. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Rodriguez. Anyone else? Without seeing any additional comments, at this point, I will move forward to take a vote.
Do we have public comment on this?
Oh, thank you.
There is no public comment on the item now.
Okay.
Thank you. 1 second, just looking at the agenda. Okay, so with that, we'll move to take a vote. And just looking at the screen, Member Jean?
Yes.
Member Rodriguez?
Yes.
Member Nguyen?
Yes.
And my vote is a yes. Ms. Aquino, we have 4 yeses with Member Martinez being absent. And at this point, I would just like to congratulate Ms. Rangel and congratulate her and congratulate our high school students and staff who I know are looking forward to this new year coming up and hopefully some stability to come with it as well.
Yes, congratulations, Ms. Rangel. And I have personally been working with you guys the last couple months, and I have to say that you definitely have the trust of your students and your staff, and it's good to see that moving forward. They really need your support and guidance, so congratulations.
Member Castillo, I know I saw your smile. Would you like to say?
Yeah, I want to congratulate Ms. Rangel on this position. I know it's been a tough journey from start to finish, but the truth is that you earned it. The students have been advocating for you from day one. we've seen the resilience with which you've led us, with which you've led our teachers as well. And I'm confident that you're going to do right by the students and the staff in these years to come. So I want to congratulate you.
I too want to congratulate Ms. Rangel. We've always known her to be an excellent people person, and especially, with our children. And her experience in special needs kids and just makes us such a stronger person. And as well, it's really needed at the high school in dealing with such a diverse group of kids that we have there. And I'm just so excited that, we're going to have a strong person at the high school that's going to move us forward. Thank you.
And with that, I know Ms. Rangel, and I'm sorry, I think Rangel is online here with us. So Ms. Salinas, you.
Yes, thank you. If we could ask Ms. Aquino to please move Ms. Rangel to a panelist, and I'm going to ask her if she could say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank you, first of all, just for the opportunity to serve as the interim principal for this year. It has meant a great deal to me. And moving forward into next year, really it is like being a mayor. It's about community. And first and foremost, the community that surrounded me this year, I want to just have an opportunity to thank, because they really are the ones that have steadied the ship for many years. So I just want to first thank my fellow principals and my admin team, my district office employees who have really been thought partners along the way. Our CSEA employees, teachers, and counselors who have overcome such a crazy year in this pandemic and shown up for our kids, even if it is at a distance. Our parent partners, OOP, ELAC, PTSA, for always putting our students first and being the voice of our kids. But again, most of all, our students, our students aren't just our students for me. They're the Caesars, the Giannas, the Jennas, the Edgars, the names that we work hard for every year. Especially now during the pandemic and during this unrest, our students are going to be our voices and they're going to be our leaders. And so it's our job to shape that and have some courageous conversations moving forward. And I absolutely think that my time in this community allows me to be that leader during this time. So first, I wanted to thank everyone there and move forward with creating a climate culture. But I would be remiss to not mention my family. I have 3 young boys, and you can imagine the amount of time it takes away from home to be the principal. And oftentimes they're in tow because that's how it has to be. But I would not be able to take on such a large job without my parents and my mother-in-law, who take a lot of the caring of the children, but especially my husband, who absolutely backs me no matter what. So thank you so much again for this opportunity.
Thank you, and thank you for hanging in there with us this year and this crazy year at that. So congratulations.
What a year, huh? What a year to throw me in.
And it'll continue. So thank you so much for hanging in there and wanting to continue.
Yes. Thank you.
Before we move on, I wanted to thank all the community members that served on the panel and the students and everybody that's been really behind Ms. Rangel and assisting her at the high school. It's been great to see. You've been able to bring everybody together.
Anyone? Okay. So with that, again, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, just wait for David to take care of
Ms. Rangel.
And I'll move on to the next item, 10.2. Ms. Aquino, do we have any comments on that one?
No.
Thank you. And with that, If I can please get a motion so we can begin discussion.
I move to approve 10.2 Newark Junior High School Science Pilot.
A second?
I second.
Okay, Ms. Aquino, I have a motion from Ms. Nguyen and a second from Member Rodriguez. Ms. Salinas?
Yes, thank you. Good evening. This evening we bring forward the adoption proposal selection for the Newark Junior High School Science Pilot. And tonight with us tonight is Ms. Leonora Rebusura, who not only does induction, but she also supports our science teachers, our science programs, TK-12. And then also we have our two science teachers from the department, Mr. Mark Drum and Ms. Julie Mershad. And this evening, the purpose of tonight is an information and for you to give us direction. And later on, after the board accepts the proposal recommendation, then we would come back at a different board meeting, the next one, with the actual invoice contract for the adoption, if you so approve this evening. So with that, I'll ask Ms. Rebusura to share her screen, and if Mr. or actually Ms. Aquino can bring forward our three panelists. Thank you.
I believe our panelists are in and ready. I see Dr. Mershad and Mr. Drum, and I can't see Lenore, but I'm assuming she's with us.
Hi. All right, good evening. I'm Leonora Besora, Director of Teacher Induction, who for over 6 years have also had the privilege of supporting the K-12 science teachers. Tonight, we present to you the culmination of 3 years of discovery, exploration, and teaching through and with the next generation science standards. In 2016, the Newark Junior High School Science Department participated in a series of whole-day workshops to learn about the shifts to 3 dimensions of teaching and learning with NGSS. The following year, in the absence of approved programs, they pre-piloted 2 NGSS-aligned programs to immerse in the new 5E lesson plan, instructional and design, and assessment of an NGSS curriculum. Tonight, Mr. Mark Drum, the Science Department Chair, and Dr. Julie Mershad, the lead physical science teacher, will describe their experience using the California Next Generation Science Standards Toolkit for Instructional Materials Evaluation, or California NGSS Time, and how it provided them a systematic process to evaluate, then select the best curriculum for our students at Newark Junior High. So now allow me to share my screen. And I will let Mark continue on, but I will drive the screens.
Thank you, Leonore. Good evening, everybody. As Leonore mentioned, my name is Mark Drum. I'm the Science Department Chair at Newark Junior High. And over the past few years, we have been digging into the California Next Generation Science Standards and trying to figure out the best way to transition from how we used to teach science into this new method of science discovery, which NGSS is really all about. We started with training at Bayside, which over at Lawrence Hall of Science. And then, as Leonore said, we pre-piloted 2 different curriculum, not this year, but last year, and then started using this time tool to help really try to measure the 2 different curriculum that we were piloting so that we could choose the best in the most data-driven way, okay? So our team at the very beginning kind of set up, what is our mission for doing this? What are we trying to achieve? We are trying to achieve a system where the science is NGSS aligned. That is now the way it needs to be. So we need to make sure that the curriculum we present to our students is NGSS aligned, that it engages our students, supports our English language learner population, supports our special needs population, but it also is flexible enough for our outstanding science educators to adapt the curriculum to really meet the needs of our specific diverse student body. Okay, so that was really our goal. Go ahead, Leonore, next slide. Before I go farther, I just want to say I am joined by Dr. Julie Mershad, and between the two of us, I drew the short straw, so I get to present, but Julia will jump in at any point if she feels I'm missing something that would be important for you guys to understand. Okay, so where we started is really with an old school science curriculum, and it's not aligned to NGSS. So that's where we were, and we know we have to get to an NGSS aligned curriculum. So that's really the whole point of this, is to get us NGSS aligned. When we started using time as our adoption tool, we had to go through a series of steps. This is the calendar that we were using, where it shows that in May of 2019, we started understanding and getting an orientation in how time works. We then pre-screen 6 different curriculum. From that pre-screening process, we selected 2 that we would pilot this year. And so we piloted those 2. We spent 6 hours worth of professional development with both of the curriculum so that we understood exactly how to, deliver that curriculum. And then as we got towards the end of the year, just when the pandemic hit, we needed to continue with time, and that meant reaching out to our parents to get parent feedback prior to presenting to the curriculum council, and then leading on to this presentation today. And hopefully we'll get buy-in today so that you can get approval with your next meeting. So here's our pilot calendar, where we started in August of this year using the curriculum Impact Science. The 7th grade focused on the cell and human body systems. That's what we covered using Impact, while the 8th grade talked about forces in motion. And then that lasted until December. We came back from winter break and started immediately with Amplify Science. That's the 2nd curriculum that we were using. The 7th grade did a unit on metabolism, and then an engineering internship in metabolism. The new NGSS has a real focus on discovery and design and engineering as a whole new end to the science curriculum that wasn't available prior to this. So we felt it was important to cover the engineering part to really make sure we understood how that worked. The 8th grade would cover chemical reactions during that same time period. Here we got a list of who our teachers are and roughly how many students that we were delivering to. Thank you. Next, Leonore. Sort of a roadmap on how time worked. Like we said, we developed what we needed as a district. We did some pre-screening, we paper screened, we then go and pilot, which we just finished, and now we've used the data to understand and make our recommendation. That's where we're at right now. When we pre-screen these 5 different curriculum that we found at different conferences and things. And we looked at each one with the lens of these 4 different topics, and then graded each one on a scale of 1 to 3. And then picked the 2 that would have the highest scores. So you can see that the ones with the highest scores were Amplify and Impact Science. So those were the 2 we decided to do this year as our pilot. Throughout the time process, there is they wanted you to have 3 separate milestone activities that you were going to judge the curriculum by. So, and then since we were doing the 2, we picked very similar style of activities. So there's an exploration or an investigation, an assessment, collecting data, an investigation, assessment. We tried to pick 3 that were the same or similar between both curriculum so we could compare apples to apples, whereas often curriculum is very different. So that was the whole key that Time was trying to get us to do. When we were done, we took a look at what we felt were the strengths as the teachers between the both Impact and Amplify. We found that the strengths between the 2 were fairly similar, but there were far more weaknesses and limitations to our discovery inside Amplify, which is where our selection is moving towards wanting to use the impact science. So as you can see, here's the Amplify output. They're similar in words, but as you can see, or maybe you caught, the weaknesses are far more here than they were in the previous slide. Okay, next slide. So using that scores, all the data that we were doing, all those documents that we were filling out, we were able to come up with a grading on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the best. And these were the grades that we and the students gave these different curriculum. And so for the most part, you can see that Impact met what we thought we needed far more than Amplify did. Okay. For our pilot score sheet, the 7th grade, we loved Impact and had a really good time with it as far as the exploration goes. The students liked the exploration using microscopes. The assessment, they were both similar. I actually feel that the Impact assessment allowed us to go in and edit so that we could use vocabulary that we know our students are familiar with, whereas Amplify doesn't allow that ability to adapt. And so with that, we didn't like it as much. The investigations were similar. You can see we did a parent survey. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Leonore, you're jumping quick. I'm trying to catch up. The parent survey, we actually did 2 separate parent surveys. Unfortunately, we didn't do them until we were in the midst of this pandemic. So we couldn't really ask our students to really get the parents going on it. The first one had very few responses, so that made us want to do a second. And in the second, we got about 100 responses. I know it says 110, but several of those were parents who wanted to make sure that they got theirs in, so they actually did more than one. They did it twice. So I don't want to overcount it, but about 100 families participated in this, which we felt was a pretty good mix. And then if you can look at these, the 7th grade is on top. Blue is Impact. This was the question, which do you prefer? And which do the students prefer? Which do the parents prefer? Impact is preferred across the board for both of them. So we think we're on the right track. It's not just what the teachers want, it's what the students admire best, what the parents like the best as well. From that parent survey, we got lots of good feedback. Here's just a handful that came from 7th grade, where they liked how it was challenging for the students, more current and relative to today, that experiencing tangible things made learning fun and easier to understand. And then it gives my son the opportunity to improve his math and ELA while also helping to learn in a fun and interactive way. So we like the fact that it really did try to address other things as well. It wasn't science specific. It really is rather broad. I don't know about you, but for me, this slide is very fuzzy. Maybe it's just my data coming through. But this is some of the 8th grade.
Mr. Drum, let me see if Ms. Rabasura, is there a way to open or expand the what you're sharing? See those little, make it a full screen?
Oh, it's full screen on mine.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
It's full screen. I think she might need to not make it full screen, a little bit smaller, maybe.
Okay, a little smaller. It's very hard to read.
That's better. At least I can, it's not quite so fuzzy anymore. Okay, so anyway, these are some of the comments that our 8th grade families had. That the strength of impact was that there were more hands-on activities, which is very true. And it's seeing things, different things, and learning about and using those things in an easier, nicer way to learn. Excuse me, this person liked that their child felt more engaged with the impact program. Science can be fun, so it's glad to see the kids really enjoying it. And then it also caters to a bigger spectrum of learners. It does have the visual and the verbal and the kinesthetic. It is more inclusive, whereas Amplify wasn't quite that way. Next slide. So these are the students' responses when we took student surveys after each of our main events, where they quite, said very much that it was engaging, good curriculum sequencing, that there was a lot of scaffolding that helped the kids who needed that scaffolding. Limitations, it definitely needed more support for English language learners. But the nice thing about Impact is that it all comes in Google Docs and Google Forms, and that allows us the ability to edit what we have. So we can, knowing our students, we can adapt the vocabulary to be something that they're going to have more access to. A lot of this in Amplify was at a very high level of language, and so many of our kids struggle with language that being able to adapt it is really key for us to have success with those students. Next slide, please. So our recommendation as a team is that we select Impact Science as our curriculum. It allows teachers to modify to meet the needs of our diverse learners. Impact provides more opportunity for hands-on investigation. Impact provides more open-ended problem solving. And Impact provides more opportunities for critical thinking, such as student-generated claim based on student-generated evidence. And that's really key in NGSS, is them collecting data and then making claims based on that data. And Impact does that really well. That is pretty much it. I think I'm under my 15 minutes. I tried to go fast. Welcome any questions anybody might have. But yeah, we really enjoyed Impact and like to do that going forward. Julie, did I miss anything?
I just wanted to add that, since we have all been doing distance learning, we have also found that the Impact team has been really responsive to meeting our needs as they obviously change throughout the school year. And that really showed to me like how committed they were to having this curriculum work for our students in our current situation. So I was also really impressed by that as well.
Any questions from the board?
I just have a comment. Sorry.
Ms. Member Nguyen?
I just wanted to say thank you to the science staff over at the junior high. My daughter is in the 7th grade, and she had Mr. James Reynolds as her science teacher, and she really enjoyed that. And also, we went through this. I had the slides, obviously, but we did go through all of them, and she did specify that Impact was her choice because of all of the hands-on experience and also the flexibility of the learning. And it was just more fun for them to be able to have that tangible experience with learning, looking through the microscope and everything like that, and being able to touch and feel all aspects of what you guys are trying to bring to science and learning. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Member Nguyen. Member Zhang, did you have a question?
Yeah, just given this item says it has physical impact, I just want to have a rough estimate about what is the cost on this item.
Yes,
Leonore, you want to? There we go.
I can answer this. Although tonight you are not, and we're not really going to have the specifics around that. We do look at quotes already, and outside of the materials, it looks like be approximately 70,000 to 80,000. There may be more costs, but once we have the approval to move forward, we would have an updated quote and an actual contract that will come forward to the next board meeting.
So I'm wondering, this 80,000 contract, it's what kind of service is that? What are we paying for? I guess that's my question.
Okay, so this is a full textbook adoption, and a full textbook adoption will include, it will depend on what the quote is that we get. So it can be something as detailed, and I'm going to ask the other folks to mute themselves because I'm getting some feedback. And Ms. Rebusor, if you want to stop sharing your screen, thank you. So what I can share is that in terms of the of what you get, it really depends on, you can get the Mercedes-Benz or you can get the basics. But I think what we looked at is. And so the package we were looking at includes, I believe there's aspects of ebooks, there's aspects of online support, there's certainly consumables, there's textbooks, there may also be professional development that's tied into it. So you will be able to see that whole thing, but that's something that we would work together with the department to see what they would want. And I think Mr. Drum's going to add some more to it as well. I see him raising.
Yeah, raising my hand. I'm a student. I'm a teacher. That's what I do. It is not a textbook. I just really wanted to make sure that that was understood. This is not a textbook that we are buying. It is a series of Google Docs and Google Forms. All of their output comes in Google material. So we get a drive that is totally open to us, very editable, and adaptable to meet the needs of our students. And then we get they have really stepped up in terms of supporting us throughout this and throughout the pandemic and the distance learning and all of that. So yeah, they are quite good at supporting us, and hopefully that continues after we purchase it.
In addition, the quote includes a license for 8 years. So it's a full adoption series, and it continues on with professional development and support. But it's licensed for 8 years.
Thank you. Anything additional?
I think it also includes some of the big supply list that they provide that Dr. Julie and I have gone through to try to weed out the things that we know we can get cheaper other places. But there are perishables. There are things that get used every year. We dissect frogs, and so every year there is a cost of a frog for every pair of students or every 3 students that we need to have as part of this. But yeah, that's all going to come with what Leonore and Letty are going to have for your next meeting.
Yes, I also would like to add that as compared to a typical textbook adoption, where if we had the book, we'd still be developing our own labs and other activities to go along with it. This, although it does not have a textbook, it does have readings. It gives us like Google Slides to present to our classes. It gives us all the investigations, what the kids are going to be doing in those investigations, and it's following that NGSS format, whereas a textbook would not be able to accommodate that type of learning.
So I had 2 questions. One that I think is being already answered, but when I look at, when I think of, without trying to date myself or anything, but when I think of the science program that I had when I was in junior high and the study, how does it differ? Is it differ in just the style of teaching? Does it differ in the concepts that are being taught? Both?
It's a lot. Yeah, it's both. It is a lot less about brute memorization of first this happens, then that happens with these fancy names that nobody ever uses once you get out of, junior high science or high school science, unless you become a scientist. But it's all based on natural phenomenon. Each unit has a basic phenomenon that we show to the students and they start exploring. And then through additional exploration, they start honing in on what's the actual science that's happening with that phenomenon. So in genetics, it has to do with why do identical twins look identical? And then it goes into other things that starts narrowing that down to where by the end, they could answer a question like that. Or forces in motion. It's like, what are the forces? I don't know I forget what the forces in motion phenomenon was, but that's the big part. And then it's all very, 5E, where every lesson starts with an engage and then goes to all the other parts of it. NGSS brags about being three-dimensional learning, in that not only are you learning the what, but you are also learning the cross-cutting concepts. So these are things that are not just science-based. They're things you would have in math and in social studies and in English, cause and effect, shapes, patterns, that sort of thing. And then the last part, the three pillars, are the DCI, that's the standards that you're used to, cross-cutting, and then the last part is the science and engineering practices, and that's where a big part of the lessons are, let's design a thing that solves this problem, and then the kids go around and do that sort of thing. It's very STEM or STEAM, in that it gives the kids flexibility to do it how they want, as opposed to just put slot A into tab B and everybody doing the same thing. So there's a lot of creativity and just thinking that goes into it, where the science practices before didn't really have a lot of thinking, but it had a lot of knowing. You needed to know what are the phases of mitosis. Now we need to know, why does a cell need to divide? And so it's a kind of a different approach to covering the same things. And by the end, they still are going to get a lot of that vocabulary, but it's not force-fed to them ahead of time. It's things they'll learn as we pick it up throughout the events that we do in the units.
Thank you. And then the other thing that I wanted to ask, because as I was looking at the study, the PowerPoint that was provided, I believe some of the students' commentary in regards to why they like this program or this program better, was that it was a lot more hands-on, and they even talked about books. But I was, again, like I said, it seems like it's being answered. I was concerned as to how that would change with possible online learning. But then I'm hearing that everything is pretty much online anyway.
Yes, everything. It's not that the students would necessarily reach it online themselves. It's more that the teachers have access to it online. But if we have access and we're doing distance learning, we can share those things that are in Google into Google Classroom so that all the students have access to it and they can read it. At school, we might have printed out a class copy. Well, distance learning, we're going to throw it into Google Classroom so that it gets delivered to each student and they can read it on the computer or print it out themselves if that's what they want to do. But yeah, I know they talk about a book, and that is because there is reading in it. And I just think they don't know how else to express that when they're reading pages, that isn't a book, right?
Okay.
But yeah, it's not, there is no book.
Yeah.
you just get access to these pages.
Thank you. And I do see you, Member Wynn. One thing, just in Ms. Salinas, no answer needed, but maybe something just to think. If a student needed to print these pages, and they didn't have that capability, is this, and if we continue with the distance learning, is this something that we can assist with?
That's going to be part of the planning with Mr. Dolovich. I think that's what we're finding, that we had some students and staff that needed more access to printers and Wi-Fi. So we are going to have to take that into consideration.
Okay,
There's
thank
other
you. And Member Wynn?
And I just wanted to follow up on that question that Member Gutierrez had. I know that so much of impact that my daughter loves is the labs and the interactiveness of it. And if we do move to a 100% distance learning model, how will you guys be incorporating those kinds of lab exercises?
Yeah, we've thought about it. Go ahead, Julie. I know Julie had an idea, and I was just going to echo that, but go ahead, Julie.
We've talked about it, and it's obviously still in discussion. We haven't problem solved everything. But I know those are things that some of us were already doing at home at the end of this year, right? So I was bringing my Chromebook out to the garage and performing an experiment with my own child as my assistant, and trying to get them to understand the phenomenon and ask them a question where they would still have to make an observation or prediction beforehand. So I could foresee that if we were still in this situation in the fall or return to it in the winter, that we would be able to have some of the materials from our classroom at home. That was another challenge at the end of this year, is that we couldn't get back in. But to have some of those materials and plan a way to make some demonstrations where students still have real data, right? Not textbook data, but something we have generated in a class or by myself with my class, in order to have them still see that science principle in action, and to be able to do some of that critical thinking that is really the basis of NGSS.
We also talked about possibly needing to have sort of brown bag lunches worth of supplies that the students once a week might have to have their family stop by the school and pick up a bag that has this week's labs in very small, simplified form, so that they can do it at home without having to have mom, oh, do you have any cornstarch? Well, you know, and then so by having small little bags that we would distribute, talk about time sink of trying to develop those, but that's the sort of thing that we would be talking with the curriculum group to try to see how could we minimize that? How can we make those types of things available and easily generated?
Okay. And I think that's one of the things science-wise articulated K-12 is one of the things we're going to try to do, because we, not just the junior high, but the high school and SRTs have really been concerned about distance learning and investigations. And that's one of the really important ideas that we've come up with, is trying to have some kind of a science investigation kit. What it's going to look like and how that's going to work, we don't know yet, but that's one way we can really focus and keep focus on investigations for science K-12.
Okay. Well, thank you for the presentation and the wealth of information. Ms. Salinas, I think at this point you need a vote from us, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so Ms. Aquino, if you could please repeat the motions.
Yes, we have a motion to approve the Newark Junior High School Science Pilot, motioned by Member Nguyen, seconded by Member Rodriguez.
Okay, so at this point, I will take a vote with Member Castillo first informing us his vote.
Yes.
Thank you. And Member Jean?
Yes.
Member Nguyen?
Yes.
Member Rodriguez?
Yes.
My vote is a yes. Ms. Aquino, that's 4 yeses with Member Martinez absent, please. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, going back to the agenda. 10.3, Ms. Salinas?
Yes, this evening.
Actually, Ms. Salinas, my apologies. Let me request a motion, and then I'll move to you. I know we don't have any discussion on this item, so can I get a motion to start discussion?
I move that we approve 10.3.
Can I get a second? I'll second it. Ms. Aquino, I have a motion by Member Nguyen and a second by myself. And did I miss something?
No, having a little technical difficulties with board docs.
Okay, thank you. So then now, Ms. Salinas, to you.
Yes, this evening, as you know, NUMA has stepped forward and taken a furlough day, but the unrepresented, myself, and on behalf of Ms. De La Cruz, we have a contract amendment to each take a furlough day for next year as well.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion?
No.
Seeing none. Just for clarification, Ms. Salinas, does this still go to personnel items?
This is a personnel item, yes.
Okay, so Member Castillo will skip you on this one. And Member Jean?
Yes.
Member Rodriguez?
Yes, thank you very much.
Member Nguyen?
Yes.
And my vote is a yes. Ms. Aquino, we have 4 yeses with Member Martinez absent. And yes, thank you. Again, thank you very much. Moving on, now we're moving on to the consent agenda, and this is a personnel report. No question, no comment on this. So can I get a motion?
I move that I'm sorry, I can't even talk. I move that we approve 11.1 personnel report.
Can I get a second? Thank you, Ms. Aquino. We have a motion by Member Nguyen and a second by Member Rodriguez. Any questions? None. Okay. Again, Member John?
Yes.
Member Rodriguez?
Yes.
Member Nguyen?
Yes.
And a yes for myself. Ms. Aquino, 4 yeses with Member Martinez being absent. Thank you. Moving on to consent agenda. Give me 1 second, please. Okay, so I will be taking out, this is a consent agenda item, so we can vote on all of them. However, we do have public comment on a few. So I will be taking out 12.6, 12.7, 12.11, and 12.12. So with that in mind, can I get a motion for all items except for 0.6, 0.7, 0.11, 0.12?
I move adoption of the consent agenda excluding Bridgepoint, Crossroads, Lincoln, and Snow.
Thank you, Member Castillo. Can I get a second?
Yes, I second it.
Ms. Aquino, I have a motion from Member Castillo and a second from Member Zhang. Okay, so we'll move on to 12.6. Ms. Aquino, please.
Do you want to take the vote on the first motion of the others?
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Member Castillo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Member Zhang?
Yes.
Member Rodriguez?
Yes.
Member Nguyen?
Yes.
Myself is a yes. So that's 4 yeses. A student member voting a yes as well, and Member Martinez absent. Thank you for that. And the public comment on 12.6.
Okay. Dear board members, Bridgepoint Continuation High School Site Council membership is incorrect. If Bridgepoint is having difficulty with its membership composition, it can seek a waiver as it has done in the past. It is eligibility under 2 separate areas of Education Code 65001. It can apply as a shared campus with Crossroads, or it can apply due to its population being fewer than 300 pupils. The CDE has told me when there has been previous issues with membership compositions without the correct membership, the SIPSA isn't a valid plan. Ms. Cindy Parks.
Thank you, Ms. Aquino. Ms. Salinas, is there any?
Yeah, let me, so I'm looking it up right now. Let me share that as I'm looking at the Sorry, I know I'm having trouble with my Wi-Fi. As I'm looking up, there is some inconsistent language with the CDE website. So in some sections, it lets us do the composition a little differently, but then as I search through it, and I'm looking through it right now, my recommendation is to pull this one. That will allow some time for us to consult with CDE, but also work with our principal. I know that our principal, Ms. Calderon, wanted to, and really the district also felt that we should separate it due to just the differences among the two programs, and certainly the CSI funding for one program and not the other. So I recommend that we pull it and return on June 18th.
Okay, we'll pull this item for now. We're pulling item 12.6, and this is the SIPSA for Bridgepoint. Okay. No further discussion on that. Okay. Moving on to 12.7, Ms. Aquino.
Yes, dear board members, Crossroads Alternative High School Site Council membership is incorrect. If Crossroads is having difficulty with its membership composition, it can seek a waiver as it has done in the past. It is eligibility under two separate areas of Education Code 65001. It can apply as a shared campus with Bridgepoint, or it can apply due to its population being fewer than 300 pupils. The CDE has told me when there has been previous issues with membership compositions without the correct membership, the SIPSA isn't a valid plan. Ms. Cindy Parks.
Thank you, Ms. Aquino. And again, Ms. Salinas, I'll refer to you.
Yes, and and thank you, Ms. Parks. I think it would be best for us to pull this one as well. Again, after speaking with Principal Calderon, there was really the preference to separate them, but we also want to make sure that we're compliant, so we can double check on that and return on June 18th as well.
Thank you. All other members okay with that recommendation? Okay, seeing the nods. Ms. Aquino, 12.11.
Yes. Dear board members, I understand Lincoln has a new principal, and it's unfortunate she didn't receive training and assistance when preparing her first school plan for student achievement. Their council membership composition is incorrect. It is missing one teacher, as the teachers must be the majority of the school staff. With the addition of another teacher, the council would also require another parent. As I previously stated, without a proper composition, you don't have a valid plan. Ms. Cindy Parks.
Thank you, Ms. Aquino. And again, I'll refer to Ms. Salinas.
Yes, and I think for this one as well, I really would like to consult with CDE as we were looking at, and just for the viewing audience, there has to be parity in the composition of a school site council and for our board. And so our interpretation at the time was that when we had to have the majority of classroom teachers when we look at the composition, the membership that is selected. And so when we looked at it, they have 4 staff and 4 parents / community. And for the 4 staff, we have the principal that is not voted on. That's just an automatic. But then the majority of the 3 remaining are classroom teachers. But as I'm looking through the CDE website, I do see another reference to an example of 10 members. So I would rather to err on the side of caution. Again, we can pull this, and I can work with our principals to make sure we bring it back on June 18th.
Okay, everybody consensus, shake of the heads.
Mm.
Thank you, Ms. Salinas for that, and Ms. Aquino, 12.12.
Yes. Dear board members, I understand Snow has a new principal, and it's unfortunate she didn't receive training and assistance when preparing her first school plan for student achievement. Their council membership composition is incorrect. It is missing one teacher, as the teachers must be the majority of the school staff. With the addition of another teacher, the council would also require another parent. As I previously stated, without proper composition, you don't have a valid plan.
Thank you, Ms. Aquino. Ms. Salinas?
Yes, and the same with this. So to say a little bit more about it, Snow and Lincoln each had 8 members, and so 4 staff and 4 parents, community. And so our interpretation was that the 4 did have the majority of classroom teachers, with having 2, 1 classified and 1 principal. But again, I rather err on the side of caution. And again, thank you to Ms. Parks. We will double check this and we will pull this one as well so that we can make sure we have a compliant plan.
Okay, thank you for that as well. And consensus from the board, shake of the heads, please. Thank you. And then, so at this point, those items will be pulled and they will be brought back again. Thank you for that. One question that I had, Ms. Salinas, and if you can just explain a little bit of these SIPSAs. There's the thought that not all of these are the same. Each school is an independent curriculum or independent programs. Is there a reason why, or is it just best practice?
Well, when we look at a site plan, you know, every school gets their funds, but then they also have their own targets and their own benchmarks because every school is so different. There are some consistencies across all plans because we're a unified district, and so you will see some similarities, but then you'll also see some schools like Title I schools that have additional Title I funds because of the demographics, and they need to really meet the needs of those identified students. And then you look at high schools, a comprehensive high school versus an alternative certainly has a big difference as well in terms of number of needs and differentiated. So every school site plan, you know, we follow the template. So the template looks the same because it's a state template that we make it look like Newark as well. But we also want to make sure that everyone uses data to inform their targets. And so you'll see some similarities, but really the expectation is that they all look a little bit different based on the school needs.
Okay, thank you for that. And so with that, we have reached our committees. Hey, thank you, Ms. Salinas. Board of Education Committee. So this is us. Member Rodriguez, do you have anything from ROP?
No, I shared, every time I get an email from them, I share with the board, so I'm good.
Thank you. Any other members from any other committees? Member Nguyen?
Yes, I have 2. For those on the School Consolidation Committee, we are rescheduling the meeting, hopefully before or the week of June 15th. So we will let you guys know, and please be on the lookout for that. And then secondly, I have a surprise from our Communications Committee. We have put something out on behalf of the board for the graduating senior class, and I would like to share it with you guys now. Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties here.
We're still within time, so this is so far we're okay.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Whoops, now I don't see the video. Hold on one second. I'm going to not share for a second. Okay. Hold on one second.
No pressure.
Yeah, the technical person is having technical difficulties.
Remember when I don't think there's audio. Do you want to start playing it again?
Is the audio coming through?
No, not yet.
Hold on one second.
There might be an option at the top of your screen to specifically share your screen share audio as well.
Okay. Can you guys hear it now?
No.
No, not yet.
Okay, hold on. I don't see the audio. Sorry. Oh, here we go. Okay, here we go. Let's start over. Can you hear it now?
Hey, what's up, Cougars? Hello, class of 2020 at Newark Memorial High School.
Hey, class of 2020, what's up?
Hey, Cougars.
Hey, Cougars.
Hey, class of 2020.
Hello, class of 2020.
Hey, class of 2020.
Hello, Newark Memorial graduates.
I just want to say a big congratulations. I'm super proud of you guys.
I'd like to congratulate the class of 2020 on a job well done.
I want to wish everyone a big congratulations. You're graduating, you made it.
It's a huge accomplishment, and I hope that you're excited.
And I want to give a big shout out and congratulations to all the students
on your milestone of completing high school.
On this momentous occasion of your graduation.
You came into this world in a history-making year, and you're graduating in a history-making year.
I can't begin to imagine what this year's been like for you guys. I am really feeling for you guys right now. I'm sorry you guys don't get the ending that you so rightfully deserve. You worked very hard.
Obviously, this year wasn't what you had expected it to be.
I know this was not necessarily the year everyone was expecting.
I know this year has been a tough one for you,
but I also know that Cougars have a lot of grit.
This is still a huge accomplishment and worthy of a big celebration.
This might sound crazy, but I believe this senior year of yours will prove to be a blessing in your lives. It takes most of us a lifetime to learn what you have learned. That sometimes things don't go your way and you have to choose how to respond to those challenges.
But you persevered, you worked hard from home, and did what you had to do.
But I think the adversity you guys have faced will make you more resilient.
I guarantee that there is no other class better prepared for this crazy world than your class.
Go out and achieve great things. There is nothing that you cannot do.
I hope that you continue to be creative and never stop learning. Class of 2020, we are so proud of you.
Your Cougar family, both near and far, are excited for you and celebrating you virtually.
There are better days to come, and with that, you'll be making better memories and have better experiences.
Don't let this time dictate who you are or where you're going to go in your future.
We have so much admiration for you guys.
Your town and your school are so proud of your resilience and your spirit.
And as you look back, you're going to know that this was a crazy time.
It may be hard to see it now, but the best is yet to come, seriously.
I have all the faith in the world that you will succeed at whatever you choose to do.
You guys are so strong for getting through this.
You should all be really proud of yourself.
We are are proud of you, we are praying for you, and we believe in you.
And we know you're about to do awesome things.
Go and be amazing.
I wish each and every one of you a very happy and successful future.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
So hang in there, and congratulations, class of 2020.
Keep showing that Cougar pride, and God bless.
Go Cougars, and remember, you define you. Hey, what's up, Cougars?
Hello, class of 2020
at Newark Memorial.
Yay!
Awesome, awesome.
Beautiful. Just beautiful.
I would just like to add that all the people who spoke there are all Newark Memorial alumni. So congratulations, class of 2020.
Congratulations, class of 2020. I just wanted to give a special thanks to James Locke, who produced the video, and Anna Locke for helping Lucy and I organize it and recruit our alumni. But we started with our alumni that are currently employed in the district, and I have to say that there's quite a lot of Cougars in our district, and I'm very proud of that, and I know that Lucia is also proud of that. So congratulations, Cesar, and your graduating class. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and we will be sending it out to your classmates and Ms. Rangel so that you guys can see it.
Thank you so much. That was awesome.
Thank you so much.
Okay, any other committee reports? Seeing none. We move to Board of Education Committee reports, announcements, requests, debriefs, and discussions. I'll start with Member Castillo.
Thank you, Member Gutierrez. So I think back in April or in February, actually, probably, I listed off the officers who were elected to ASB. I just wanted to give them a shout out one more time because they were installed on Tuesday. They all gave their oaths of office, and so we're happy to be inviting them or to be welcoming them into ASB for the upcoming year. So please bear with me. I'll list all of the officers off, starting with the incoming freshman, President Sophia Rollins, Vice President Jasmine Andrade, Secretary Amia Ortiz, Treasurer Miranda Gonzalez, Historian Isabella San Pedro, and Senators Kaylee Geipel and Angeli Prim. For our rising sophomores, President Leslie Hernandez, Vice President Alma Franco, Secretary Diego Torres, Treasurer Josue Romo, and Historian Janelle Nava. For our rising juniors, President Ryan Armijo, Vice President Garrett Schetzel, Secretary Angie Dela Cruz, Treasurer is elected Amber Nolasco Torres, but she will be resigning. She's going to a different school for second semester, so that will trigger a special election for Treasurer. And then junior class historian Jasmine Urena. For our rising senior class of 2021, President Lauren Babich, Vice President Rochelle Mertigui, Secretary Sophia Angelo, Treasurer JC Moriguchi, and Historian Kamini Huang. And then for our ASB officers, President Ethan Inocencio, Vice President Dana Prudente, Secretary Isabel Alat, Treasurer Jessica Freed, and Student Board Member Wahab Salemi. So again, I want to give them a huge congratulations as they step into their offices. I did get a chance to, so the outgoing ASB officers were also invited to the installation, and I gave them a few words of encouragement as well, especially during these unprecedented times as they transition into this huge role of leadership. I know Superintendent Salinas touched on it at the beginning of the meeting. I just wanted to remind everyone that the virtual graduation ceremony will be broadcasted live on June 27th at 9 a.m. So Mr. Taimani and the community productions team have been working very hard on it. The recordings that went on last week, I think, or the week before, I can't remember. They went very well. I think everybody, you know, had a good time getting to step onto the campus one last time, or for one of their last times. It was really nice to get to see everybody. And then I also want to give a huge thanks to the support staff at the high school for facilitating a book drop-off and senior checkout over the past 2 weeks. I went today, and it was kind of saddening to step onto the campus for what's probably going to be the last time as a current student. But you know, it's come to an end. So I want to thank the support staff, all my teachers over the past 4 years, for making this experience memorable. On to some rather personal matters. I hope you will humor me for a few minutes, not humor me, entertain this for a few minutes. I did want to acknowledge everything that's been going on in our nation over the past week or so, and I hope I'm not overstepping any lines as I say this. But I do want to acknowledge what's been going on, and it has been a travesty. Everything that's been coming to light, all the events that have occurred, and share my my equal demand for, you know, change in this country, for police reform, for equal protection in the eyes of the law. It's something that, you know, on paper it's written down, but systemically it's been denied to many people, people of color such as myself, for many years. And so I did want to share my solidarity with everybody who has been denied those protections, and for all the demonstrators as well, the peaceful demonstrators who have been putting themselves out there to make their voices heard and to instill change. And lastly, I did want to also draw attention to a current trend. It's mainly going around on Twitter, but it does relate to sexual assault and cases that have happened in years past. But I've seen many of my peers from Newark Memorial High School share some of their experiences, and especially those experiences, unfortunate experiences and deplorable experiences that happened on school grounds or were eventually taken to school administrators. The overwhelming response has been that Newark District Administration has been lacking in their efforts to bring justice or render justice to victims of sexual assault. And so I wanted to bring attention to that as well. I do consider myself an ally of those who have suffered from sexual assault and abuse in the past. And I sincerely hope that something is done to change the way the district handles these cases. And I hope that something has been done, and hopefully none of us have to hear about it in a negative way, and we can make progress on this issue. That's all I have at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Castillo. Member Zhang?
I really don't have anything special to add. I just want to reiterate that this is unprecedented time. In many ways, this is 1918, 1929 plus 1968 all come together. But I think we will get through this all together. That's it.
Thank you. Member Rodriguez?
I too am appalled at you know, what's happening now, and it's been going on for quite a while. I have a few members of my family. I got a brother and niece that both retired from NYPD after 25 plus years and without incident. And I know the stories they told, and we have a community right now that's divided, and we need people to, you know, kind of help bringing them together. And I just hope that that happens, and that's my prayer. I want to thank the staff again for putting together the panel and everything for the principalship at the high school. And I want to thank Member Nguyen for that beautiful, great video, and having, you know, oh heck, almost with grandkids and kids. I think it's just about 10 of them that have gone through Newark schools and graduated from the high school. And Newark is an excellent place to get an education, and people love each other. And when you see all the alumni that are teaching now, it just goes to show you that you know, the Newark pride is still there, and we don't take things lightly when it comes to situations that are happening in our community. And I know that everybody's going to pull together our young people and come up with positive solutions on how to deal with the issues that we're facing today. Okay, thank you. That's all I have. Oh, wait a minute, one more thing. I did get a chance to visit 6th grade promotions at Bush Grove for a little bit, Lincoln and Snow, and my shout out to the principals and the students who were in the parade of cars, and the staff, and everything they do to make our kids feel important, and such a sight to see. And I know every one of the schools did their own, so I'm very proud to say that you know, I'm a Cougar at heart.
And Member Nguyen?
I am too, kind of disappointed and very emotional this last couple of weeks and months. But I need to also just say, you know, the best way that we can amplify a collective voice is to vote. And for all of the graduating seniors who are of age of 18, please register if you want your voices to be heard. I know that you guys are a very articulate bunch of kids, or well, adults now, no longer kids, but students, and have quite a lot to say. And please amplify, stand with your friends and your colleagues and support them. And also, if you have not done so already, please complete the census so that we can have the right numbers going into, so that we can support our city structure and schools and stuff like that. So it is so important for us to do our civic duty and register to vote. Thank you so much. And again, I just wanted to thank all the teachers and our alumni who participated in the video. Lucy and I couldn't have done it without you, and especially James and Anna. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Couple of things. Apologize, I know we're trying to get out of here. One, congratulations to all the graduating students. School's out. Congratulations to all the students on promotion finishing this year and moving on to next year. Please try to enjoy your summer in the midst of COVID, in the midst of everything that's going on. You can still enjoy the parks. You can still enjoy walks, bike rides, time with your family. So please, and congratulations and enjoy your time off. Likewise, a message to the teachers and staff. Thank you for all your hard work during this crazy, unexpected year. And as well, please enjoy your summer as much as possible. Congratulations, I've said this again, but since Member Castillo named off the new ASB, congratulations to my nephew, Josue Romo, on the being the new sophomore treasurer. And a huge thank you to our community members, especially the members of O'Sullivan's, who continue to provide breakfast and dinners to our students. Thank you to the City of Newark for also providing boxes of food. They are still making distributions of boxes of food for the first 200 members that come on the first and third Saturday of the month. And they are also seeking donations for anybody that can help. New information that just came out, the curfew in Alameda County has been lifted. So, and for our staff and Miss Salinas, there's a huge thank you from our Spanish-speaking community, who has been very grateful for the additional effort that has been made to communicate with them specifically in Spanish and keep them informed and keep them in the loop. they ask if possible, especially in the midst of all these critical changes that are happening, if this communication can still continue. They are very grateful for that. Likewise, there's just it was mentioned that with the summer and the heat, that if we could just make an extra effort to be careful with the food distribution, that we make sure that it doesn't go bad, especially with this weather. And I would just like to echo a little bit of what the rest of our members are saying, and echo also what the city of Newark is saying, and specifically that we have an inclusive community and we reject racism and stand united with everybody in our community. So times are tough, but we gotta stick together, and unity will definitely make a difference and help us overcome all this. And I will echo what Member Wynn is saying. Please go out there and vote. It does make a difference. Thank you, and Ms. Salinas.
Yes, thank you. I think I've got 3 items. So as for my concluding comments, so first I would like to ask if we could have a special board meeting in July. So preferably, and I think Ms. De La Cruz was saying after the 4th of July weekend. So I'm looking for something the week of July 6th. And so what we could do is this week poll the board to see if there's a date that would work, because I know folks also, although we're staying in place, I know we also have other commitments. So I will defer to the board to see if we can at least settle on a date the week of July 6th, if that works. And we'll have Ms. Aquino follow up tomorrow to see if that would work. And if there's a preference for the following week, we'll also ask that the week of the 13th. The second thing is that, again, I also, I did hear student board member Castillo's comments. And so please know that as part, as we're doing the senior checkout and the senior survey, I will check in with Ms. Rangel, because we are all the district. And if something is not being addressed, and if we have students that are not feeling safe, that is of paramount importance. So we will follow up with that and make sure that we address the concerns that are coming forward. So thank you for sharing that, Mr. Castillo. And then I think finally it's thank yous. We've been doing a lot of thank yous, and I have to tell you, it's strange to be virtual, but at the same time to not be around. We're all educators, we are elected officials, we're appointed officials who do this because we're in the people business and we want to be around our community. So this has been tough, but I do want to thank all of our staff, our teachers, our classified staff, our principals. I got to tell you, people always say, yeah, it's one of the loneliest jobs, because they have really had a big lift. They had to continue with the regular work of the SIPSAs. They had to continue with staffing and making sure, the pickups ran smoothly. Mr. Castillo, you're right. I mean, literally, I saw the schedule, and it was over the course of days. Every 15 minutes, it was a different set of kids coming in to clean out the lockers. And so we couldn't have done that without our classified staff, without our teachers, without our administrators, and certainly our students and our families that were flexible and came to do that. So thank you all for that work. And on a final note, and then I'm going to ask her to say a few words. So the board is aware, and also our administrators, Miss Aquino has served Newark Unified for many years. And so she did announce to us that she is moving on to a brand new opportunity. And I'm not happy, but I also know that I want the best for Miss Aquino, and this is a new adventure for her. So she will be moving on to a new job, and then I'm gonna put her on the spot to see if she wants to say a few words, just part of my concluding, and then we'll end with Miss Aquino. So Miss Aquino, thank you for your service. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you very much. Again, opportunities come when you least expect it. And had I not learned everything that I've learned at Newark, there's absolutely no way I would have been ready to take this next step. Absolutely no way. But because of the experience and all that I've learned, you really got me prepped. So thank you. Thank you very much for everything. A lot of you that are out there, got very special relationships with. So the true people will stay together and stay in touch. Just a phone call away. Again, Cesar and the rest of your classmates, you were my first class when I came to the junior high to fully watch you go through. So congratulations to all of you. You're gonna do great, and especially all the diversity and everything you've been through this year. And to everyone else, again, my sincere thanks. I will miss you, but I'm just a phone call away and we'll all stay in touch. So again, my sincere thanks.
Bittersweet, but congratulations, Ms. Aquino. And
can I say something?
Yes.
I was going to go call Shar, before she leaves, and I just wanted to say thank you. Shar came to us right after we selected a new superintendent, Sanchez, going back 5 years ago, and she was a godsend. She's a quick learner, and we really need a strong person in that position to not only be the secretary to the board and also to the superintendent, and then all the other hats she wears, and the way she gets so excited when you talk about the junior high school. It's just I am in gratitude for what you've given us the last few years, and wish you nothing but great luck wherever you're going, and hopefully you're doubling your income, and we thank you and appreciate you a whole bunch.
Congratulations, Shar. We're gonna miss you. You know, we had a personal conversation earlier today, and I just want to personally thank Shar again for all the hard work that she's done for the district, and also having to put up with all of our personalities. So I know it can be challenging at times, but thank you for not giving up on us, and best wishes to you on your new adventure.
Yeah, I want to say thank you for your service. I'm sad for the district, but I'm happy for you.
Congratulations, Shar. I want to thank you for all you've done at the district and at the junior high. I remember you vividly at the junior high. Over the past 2 years, I've had many conversations with you, and you've really been a supporting resource for me in my service to the students of Newark Memorial. And without your wealth of knowledge and your expertise and your encouragement, I probably would not be where I am today. So I want to thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you, and you weren't supposed to make me cry. Thank you very much.
Again, bittersweet.
It's always tough.
Thank you for your service, Ms. Aquino. And I'd like to thank everybody on here because we managed to end this meeting before 10 o'clock. So I appreciated that I can run this. I ran this meeting and we're finishing early. So thank you. So with that in mind, motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make the motion.
I'll ask it again. Motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make the motion.
Thank you, Member Rodriguez. And
before you go, Mr. Castillo, thank you for being an excellent student board member, and good luck at UCSB.
Thank you. Thank you for wearing the sweatshirt. I will be on the meeting on the 18th, so you've got more of me.
Yes, thank you. And so Ms. Aquino, Member Rodriguez made the motion, Member Castillo seconded. Member Rodriguez.
Yes.
Wait a second.
Oh, yes, thank you. Member Castillo, thank you. I apologize. Member Castillo.
Yes.
Thank you. Member Rodriguez.
Yes, and thank you, Member Gutierrez.
I'm sure it was something great. Ms. Nguyen?
Yes.
And Member Jean?
Yes.
And it's a yes for me, but before we adjourn, Member Rodriguez, did you want to finish those last words that you got cut off?
Thank you for running an excellent meeting, Member Gutierrez.
Thank you. So we have 4 yeses, 5 with the student member, and Member Martinez being absent. Thank you, everybody, and good night. Meeting adjourned.